news.
That's not good news.
Not good news.
There we go. One's on.
Okay, so this one's on? Okay. There we go. We got it. All right. So those old transistor bulbs had to warm up, I guess.
We'll have the company look at it. It's been a while.
Just like in the old days, huh, Brad? Yeah.
No TV.
You notice I didn't say you, Doc.
I'm before
Yeah,
TV.
never
West
mind.
Coast, right?
Okay, very well. Catherine, quick question for you on that. You said Spirit of Miracle Award is going to be May 2nd at 6 o'clock?
At 6:30 p.m.
6:30, okay. All right. Right at the beginning of the so that's the next council meeting, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so we'll start out the meeting with that.
Yes, that will be excellent. Thank you.
And two of his daughters are in contact already, will be here?
They've all been contacted. 2 daughters will be able to be present.
Good,
If
excellent.
not more.
Excellent, thank you very much for that. So you all set
Yes.
with that? Okay, thank you, Catherine. Now let's move on to B on part 3, presentation by Clover Improvement Group. Proposal for the former Pittsfield Community Theater location. Folks, the floor is yours. If you'd like to say a couple words, please.
I'll just ask a couple questions first, if I could.
Well, it's your presentation.
Yeah, I was wondering, is there any other presentations today? Is there any other offers being made today?
No, it's a presentation only. It's going to be open for discussion at another date. It's what you're going to present to us.
Yeah, I understand that. No, my question is anyone else doing another presentation today? Is it just mine?
No, there's nothing on the agenda.
Not today.
All right, now I have a packet for everybody. Have you all received it? So, I tried to make this short. Not short, but I tried to make this as easy and painless as possible because there's a lot to cover here. But basically, I'm going to start with who we are. All right, Clover Improvement Group. It was a real estate investment company that we created to obviously make money and fix homes and do all that. But also, we wanted to create a nonprofit organization to fight the disease of despair. Now, if anyone is familiar with that, you might understand, what we mean. So now we have a team of nationwide professionals. We got people specializing in marketing, human services, certainly real estate, but also the federal government, education. These networks, they're valuable. Okay, I can get resources and knowledge that can really help me for things I don't understand myself. But I do have experience in the entertainment industry. All right, I work for not only Foxwoods Casinos, but many other things. I'm a real estate broker by trade, but also I did a lot of social service work. Okay, I mentored a lot of businesses and people. I was a loan officer for a nationwide mortgage bank. I had the opportunity to meet just hundreds and hundreds of families and go over their finances for them. And also we finance their mortgage or get them a new one, but I had that opportunity because I had all their information. And if they were willing, I would go the extra step to help them really put together a financial plan for themselves and other things too. So that was really good. I did that for years, and then I got into real estate. But it's enough about me. I also published a book. It's an anti-child abduction book. And basically, I was down in Florida, kids getting abducted all the time, and it was just insane. It was crazy. So I wrote this book, and it gave parents a chance to sit down with their kids and talk about, what happens if someone comes up. And you can check it out. It's called Beware of Strangers, The Making of Super-No Girl. But now, to better understand what I'm going to talk about here, and you mentioned something about the Amish last meeting that I was here, that I attended. To better understand the way my systems work, you ask yourself, what do the Amish have to do with the movie theater in Pittsfield? All right. So to answer that question, the Amish are a resource. I mean, they're an asset full of resources. Okay. Their culture, their food, the way they do things, just this sustainability, their art. These are all things. These are all stories that people would love to hear all across the country, and in the world actually. But they love to tell these stories, okay? And with a little bit of help, we can broadcast those stories, okay? And the idea is as we broadcast these stories, we build our platform. And we also, they can teach classes in the theater or do a lecture, things like that, you know. And it's just really interesting. What could they teach us, you know? And you ask how we could get close to the Amish community, ask them what they want. Simple as that. Ask them what they want, talk to them. I mean, it's easy, sending a letter or just talking to somebody. But that's a part of our community. It's a part of Pittsfield. And it's a valuable part if you can just see that and develop it. So the theater now, that's not just a building, all right, that sells tickets. It's an asset that we could capitalize upon. It's an asset that could develop the resources of the town. And I'm talking about the people, their skills, their knowledge, their talent. The theater should be the focal point that uplifts the people of the town. And it connects the resources with the people that need. Well, you know. And what I mean is there's somebody who needs a stove, and there's somebody who can have a stove. There's somebody who needs knowledge on what they should do. Well, there's somebody that has that knowledge. But the people of the town, you're going to find have a lot of talent if you could just recognize it and develop it. And give them a place to go to show that. And they're going to want them because people want to do what they want to, you know, what they want to do. So the reason I'm here, obviously, is the town has a lot of needs. Okay, I mean, we got. I mean, every town could use a new system for raising money, and we could do that. We could develop several systems of raising money. We could put people together on the same cause, but we need a strategy to maximize our return on investment. Also, okay, you know, if we have well-defined goals of what the vision of the town is going to be, we need that also. And once everybody understands, you know, we can have that, okay? And so what I'm talking about is, you know, an easily accessible, like, business development center. If now I'm talking to a lot of people already, and, you know, a little help. All they need is some ideas, you know, they're in business now. How can I do this? There's somebody with the answers. If I don't have the answers, somebody does, and it doesn't take much to just talk to somebody, direct them, connect them, okay? This could be the hub to do all of that, all right? Not just movies. We're not just talking about movies here. Well, the building needs renovations, okay? And PR, public relations for the town. There's plenty of ways we can do that. Now, the town's already done some really good stuff. I saw a video, just knocked my socks off. It was fantastic. I can't remember where, but I was on a website. Things like, I'm sure you guys are familiar with that video I'm talking about.
The one that the town.
Town of Pittsfield.
Town Pittsfield, yeah.
I would love to know who did that and talk to them. I mean, that's fantastic, but that's a start. All right, there's a lot of videos out there. The top 10 places in Maine. Why aren't we on that? We could be. I'm getting off track here. I'm sorry. I apologize here. Okay. Well, there's a national need. Okay, for it's an ever-growing need for entertainment, edification. Like all across the globe, right now, people are getting access to the internet. Right? They never had it before, maybe, or whatnot, but they want entertainment and education. So that's driving the online platform's need for content. All right, so there's your need. You have an endless supply of resources here. And you have an endless supply of people who need them. All right? Get more on that a little bit here. But basically, every good deed we help someone else with becomes our good deed. All right? It strengthens our good name. Now, the stronger our good name, the easier this process becomes. So the template basically is doing the right thing for the right reasons efficiently. That's the template for most of the systems in my business model. Now you're going to see the systems can turn needs into benefits, problems into assets, and it can get the most out of our resources. Every transaction we make automatically builds our network, which increases our earnings, strengthens our good name, and most importantly, everybody wins. Okay. Any questions so far? No? Okay. Well, we talked about needs that we locally have here in the town. Talking about needs that the building needs. We'll get into more of that, but our solutions now. Solutions for raising money. Now, obviously, I think most people understand that what we'd like to do is we'd like to go forward with a nonprofit company, okay, closely with the town. Okay, so we can do programs to get the grants to better the community.
Recording in progress.
Is that all right?
Go right ahead, you're logging in on Zoom here. No.
Yeah, we're fine, we're logging people in.
Okay, cool. Well, we can run programs that qualify for new grants. But the programs, it's important to get the results that it was intended for. If you're going to teach kids art, well, teach them art, Really do what you say, basically. That's very important. Like I said, we'd like to build an online platform to earn money and do fundraisers. We'd like to empower our people of the town. Now, many in the community have ideas and the desire to probably start their own business or achieve a goal. Now, we plan to be a knowledge base with vast networks, an easily accessible business development center that can prepare people to take the next step. And what I mean by this is basically, if you have someone with an idea, 600 people have an idea. They can't just bum rush the town council all at once. All right? Like when I have my idea, there could be somebody they could go to that could say, you know what, that's not a good idea. Or let me show you why. Or that is a good idea, do this. Or go see him. You know what I mean? And get that paperwork, whatever they need to do before they take that next step. That's easy enough to do. So, now what I like to do, I like to form a theater group and a media, a media production center from the theater. So basically, a theater group, we have a lot of people in town that could do a lot of things, not just this town, surrounding towns. We form a group, we can work with the school, all sorts of talent, and basically, we can get them exposure. So we take that content, we put it online. Places like YouTube, if anyone's familiar, other social media spots. Well, these are, like I said, these online platforms need content, and they're paid for it. All right? But also, people are watching that. So if we have a theater group and we can put out a nice production, not only can we put on a show that could travel and make money for the theater group, it could also really solidify our online position in those on these platforms. And I'm getting a little off topic here. I'm sorry.
You get a following.
So basically, our solution. Now we can help the people develop their skills and talents. Like I've kind of gone over. We can broadcast live and recorded performances to give people exposure. Now, solutions we have to fix the theater. I go into that a little bit later here, or actually right here. Now we have received an inspection report, and we have decided on a plan of action, which I have. Well, we're going to get into a little later. That's a little bit further on. But as far as the expenses goes, we've also gone over the expenses, and insurance. The only thing I'm not really sure is what the taxes will be. Okay, but the electric, the expenses to keep the theater going, they're not that bad. We could certainly handle that. So finance is basically what I've done. I put an account, money in an account, to start the renovations of the building. Now, I have a Clover Improvement Group. We're working on people's homes, helping restore homes, things like that. We earn money as we go. So certainly that money can be added into that account. Now, we could save on fixing the theater because I can use my own people. We do a lot of the work ourselves and hire professionals, and at least we have the knowledge to know what they need to know. Even the roof, I could perhaps save a lot on if we do our own, help them with the labor. Let's see. So, grant money. Obviously, you know, if the nonprofit organization will be looking for grant money. But there's also local funding, obviously. We can go around and see who wants to help. Certainly, there's national funding. There's other donors. But there's also ticket sales, concessions. We can rent space. And like I said before, we could go on we could make money through the theater club also. And if I never get a donation, well, I'm prepared to fund this operation. It's not important. I can always get help from my associates if I need it. Any questions so far?
I have a question.
Sure.
Would you be willing to do things that teach people and provide like resources for information and such as classes and whatnot? You know, like
That's-
home ec or things that have been taken from school systems and whatnot.
That's a good question. Yes. And obviously, what I want to do is I want to ask the people of Pittsfield, what do you want? You know what I mean? What do you have to offer? Come see me. Let's do it. Let's put your grandmother on YouTube teaching a cooking class. Or
cheese.
if the Amish want to come and tell us how to churn butter and someone wants to watch that, fantastic. But yeah, a lot of what I like to do is lectures. I like to get some people in here with knowledge. I can bring them in from all around the world. They don't even have to be here. If I want to run a comedy show, I don't have to have a comedian sitting in the theater. I can have a couple start it out and then have some guy in LA, some guy in Detroit. And that's what we're talking about, good name. Because basically, once we start this, as we go, every transaction we make, if I take a good story, put it online, people get to see it. And I have a friend in Hershey, and he's got a food pantry. And there's a story there, basically. If I promote his story on my channel, well, you know, by me promoting that, I'm part of that. And that strengthens our good name. But it also increases our position online. If somebody can yodel, I don't know. If someone wants to see it, there's a niche market out there that we can reach because of that. Because of that, we can also do fundraising in areas that we couldn't even afford of. So, I hope I answered your question.
Yes.
Pretty much. Good.
I'm going to ask a question.
Sorry.
This is because I received an email from some entity called Concerned Pittsfield. So I don't know if there's any truth to it or anything like that. They were concerned that there might be some kind of affiliation with the Center Theater in Dover Foxtrot. So I don't know what, they're concerned,
I have no affiliation with anyone. I have no affiliation with any theater. This is a brand new project. That's not me.
I can say personally, I moved up here maybe a week after they did, 4 or 5 years ago? Mm-hmm. And I only met them maybe a year and a half ago, and I've been working with them for maybe a year now. And we all sat down one day. I live in Pittsfield, and everybody I talked to was complaining about the theater, how it had got shut down right before or right after COVID hit and whatnot. And we just sat down one day and we decided, the people want this back. They want it restored, something done with it. So we came up with a plan. And I haven't been here, like I said, 4 or 5 years. And I love Pittsfield. Mm-hmm. It's a great community. I've been all over this country, Georgia, Florida, Arizona, Texas. I mean, I've been out of the country, Italy, Australia. But I love Pittsfield, and I love the community, and I like how willing people are to come together and actually work towards something. It's just finding that common ground to bring those people together and get them working towards the same goal. And that's kind of what we're trying to do here. Just, put out the stories like he's saying, and just...
Like, to use you as an example. Okay, now Heather has a dairy farm, and a lot of people don't know anymore where milk comes from, or how cheese is made. I mean, like I said to you, I grew up milking cows. It is hard work. It just is. And so she's trying to build her business. And so if we can, so I'm just using you as an example. But if we can, film Heather and film her farm and put it on the platform, then people are going to be interested in that. And there are other, like Howard, he does stained glass. So we can, film Howard doing some stained glass. It's just people are interested in good, clean content that's fun, educational, and it's just something that I think Pittsfield really needs. Like he said, people are suffering from the diseases of despair. Alcoholism, drug abuse, depression. People just, they've lost hope. So that's kind of where we're at. And who are you, sir?
I'm the pastor of Calvary Baptist Church
Oh.
on the Hill.
Pleasure to meet you.
So,
Thank you.
I had much concern for
Yes.
so these people that I don't know. I don't like them because I don't know who they are.
Right.
Many of them, they didn't let me know who they were either.
Okay.
So I'm just here trying to determine the truth, and I'm, very concerned about the folks that I pastor and things like
Yes.
that.
We are at least we're trying to be as center of the road. Okay. We're just here.
Right off of West Street.
So that's
Church right there by West Street.
No, we're on the hill. We're on Route 11, just above Sebastian Valley.
Okay.
So my recommendation would be, if I could, is I saw, trying to research this, so I can get a whole lot more information on this than I could on that. But as far as I saw that you're going to be said they have offered to let you use their website or whatever like that.
Who did?
That's what I read. I was reading that they had.
Can I,
Two different entities.
we're talking two different things here.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. And that's probably a discussion you can probably have after. I'd like to have William continue on the presentation.
Okay.
But I think you get us mixed up with something.
I know, the very viable questions and concerns that you have. If you want to entertain that after the presentation, so if you want to continue the presentation, if that'd be all right.
Well, that's fine.
I can leave my contact.
Be a
Anyone
bit more
can contact
efficient.
me at not any time, but certainly, any reasonable time, and I'll certainly answer any questions I can, absolutely. But you gave me a good, thought here. Your church, basically your church, every other church, we could all really benefit from each other. There's a lot we could do together. I am not representing any religion or political party or anything like that. Okay, the whole key to this is you got a good name. You cannot cause controversy. If you upset some people, it's so hard to build your good name. Once you, it's so easy to destroy it. And like I said, if you do the right thing, and your church has a message to tell, a story to tell, or a need, there you go. And we can even broadcast religious content. It's just that's not us. If you follow me. So if the Mennonites want to come in here and do, I talked to them and they're interested in homeschooling classes, no problem. But I'm not Mennonite. The theater is not Mennonite. We can help them with their content though. Just like I'm not a football player, but if the football team wants to come to me and advertise whatever it is they want to do, certainly. If they need something, maybe we can help raise the money for them too. I talked to the school. I reached out to the drama class. We just haven't had time to do much more. I reached out to another church, the Unitarian one. There's a lot of needs that they have already working on, but certainly that's the idea. And why do I need that? If I can help people around me, they become my friends. They become stronger. And who knows when they're going to help me? Maybe they never will. But if you do the right thing for the right reasons and stay on that path, good things will happen that they're not tangible. You can't even understand them right now. Same thing, if you go around doing bad things to everybody, you may get away with it for a while, but certainly one day you're going to have a surprise. Things aren't going to work out.
William, can I ask you a question?
Certainly.
I know my concern is the physical building itself.
Okay.
What your plans are for that. I don't want to throw you off your presentation. If you want to continue the presentation, I can certainly get into details when you complete. We're just concerned. My personal concern would be, selling the building to you and it sits. Nothing
Absolutely.
changes, and there's a potential that it could go into further disarray. And as not the owner of the theater anymore, the town would have very little leeway because it's right in the middle of our downtown.
Well, I'm glad you asked that.
So it's a very important thing to consider.
Because
Probably more than other.
next page we go over that.
Okay.
No, I'm glad you're concerned, because I didn't waste my time.
Okay. So
But-
please continue.
All right, so, I'm going to get right to that. But we got a couple of little things to talk about. People talk about a business, all right? So the business model, what's your competition, And in this case, we're going to compete for grant money. We're also going to compete for ticket sales with other theaters. But really, all the competitors, hopefully we can work with them. All right, so if there's another theater and they have a comedy routine going on, maybe we could play that also. Or maybe they could have our theater group go on and put a performance on. So hopefully we can work with our competitors or at least learn from them. Now, marketing our activities, and this isn't just the theater. This is obviously the theater, but it's also for the town. What we plan to do is we're going to create a robust public relations campaign. We're going to start that by doing a press release, okay? Because both the town and the theater have a great story, and we got to get it out there. People need to hear that. That's how we're going to attract talent. That's how we're going to attract people to help and other things like that. So, obviously, we're going to engage with the community. We've spoken about that. But networking on YouTube, Facebook, town website, other websites, other charities can also help us. So we can help a charity, they can help us. It's beautiful. And there's a never ending. As long as you're doing the right thing, and they can check that and they can see that you do what you say, they're going to help you. So it starts with me and then it expands, just keeps expanding, So basically we also have the marquee. And we intend on using that to our full advantage. Certainly to ask the people of the town what they want. We can have votes. We can, obviously promote what we're going to do, any shows or anything like that. So now, our goals, this is just pretty much also a recap here. We plan on fixing the theater, but I'm going to skip right to that in a moment. We plan on building networks and working together with the resources of Pittsfield. And the town has a vision, and we can all kind of work together. Everybody benefits. The better the town, the better the theater, and vice versa. Like I said, we can develop specific programs that can access that grant money. Okay? But like I said, they got to be good for the town. We can assist people of the community with their causes to enrich Pittsfield. Okay? We can attract writers, actors, performers, comedians, teachers, musicians to make our theater group special. I'm only giving you guys a little bit of my plans, my real plans. It's an outline, okay? And so you want to talk to me about how exactly we're going to do this? Oh, yeah, I've been working on this for years, okay? Like I said, but we must do what we say. We must make a positive difference. My goal is I want to do something great. This town could do something great. I mean, can you imagine what we could actually do if we could actually do this and all work together toward it? So basically, we want to create our good name. And of course, entertain and uplift Pittsfield. Now, on the next page, you can say timeline, okay? And like we're showing here, everything's going to take time. Now, work has already begun, okay? Now, upon approval, we move forward with the nonprofit company. As soon as we get access, renovations start, okay? The groups will form. There will be meetings. We can start doing our filming, building our networks. Start immediately working on the PR campaign and access to acquire resources. As we progress, space can be rented. We'll have shows, activities, movies. Like I said, we can form a theater group. We could be making money online. But also, depending on when we start, and mitigating factors. Our target completion date should be August of 2024. Now, exactly, how are we going to handle the building renovations? Okay, what I've gotten an old All right, that's pretty old, this inspection report. So I imagine that there's some new things to deal with also. I've done a limited inspection. I just went through it. Okay, so from what I've seen and from the inspection report,
Yes.
I can have a more, targeted plan once I know exactly what's going on. But initially, I'm going to use my company's money to repair and maintain the building. And come out. First will be slow. It's going to have to be me, but it's going to increase as we put things together. Address immediately the needs of any safety issues. So when we're going there, as soon as we get in there, any safety issues are first. Second would be the water going in and out, and the electric. Okay. After that, it depends on the weather. It depends how long this takes. And if I got some good months, we're going to start the outside. All right. Your brick, it's all going to be repointed. Your marquee, I'm hoping it's safe, all right, but you need work on that. The windows, you get a board up, you're going to get down off of there, put some nice windows in there, make that look nice. You get the top, maybe through the moldings, we can have some nice lighting and stuff like that. We can work on that. The back wall also, it's going to be pointed, and we'll figure out, whatever. There's a mural there, if we can keep it or whatnot, paint it, but certainly I want anyone's input on what you want to see, because that's going to benefit me. And every step of the way, we ask people what they want, But, so after that, okay, we'll move on to the interior. We'll start maybe the lobby, the hallway, but then the bathrooms, obviously get the bathrooms done. And like I said, any safety issues. But then after that, we could start working on the new layout, increasing the stage, replacing the seating. As money rolls in, the bigger projects. So as long as the roof is holding out and not leaking right now, we could start putting money away for it. If it goes and has to be done, then that's going to have to be done then. But if not, we can get everything else done, but we still have a roof that's not leaking, and we can get a lot of things rolling. If you need to know, like I said, any more specifics on how we're going to do this, so let me talk about it. And I think you guys did good. Nobody fell asleep on me.
Any questions from the council? Questions, concerns? Yeah.
One thing that I was wondering about is, are you proposing to just operate the theater, or are you proposing to acquire the theater?
Oh, no, I was proposing to, acquire the theater and operate it, obviously. And like I said, we have to build a nonprofit company. Initially, we just have my company, and that's going to start everything off. And it could take a while. That money could never happen. And I can't count on something that I don't know for sure. But honestly, you guys know about government, grant money and things like that, even better than me. So basically, will that answer your question? Yeah.
I got a question. It's obvious that the town has, I was on the council 3 years ago, which is when we basically, before that, we put it, we closed it, we put it up for sale. So it's been on the market for over 3 years now. Okay.
No.
And obviously the town, I think we really want to make a push to, I won't say not get rid of it, but improve it from the perspective of not having it as a liability for the town, but create it as an asset for the town. All of this takes time. Obviously, it's 3+ years that it's been on the market, or nobody's been in it with no significant improvements and barely maintaining it. Your proposal is interesting, certainly, and I think you've got some experience doing stuff like this. I think that if you have significant interest, then we can take a look at your proposal and say it's all well and good, but where is the plan? Where is the funds? Where is the money coming from? How do we work it with the town to basically, get rid of it from a liability perspective and create it as an asset for the town? Both tax-wise as well as from the perspective of, creating a space that is useful, a community center type of thing,
Sure.
because we have the library and we really don't have much else right now. I think that we need more specifics. Maybe I'm jumping ahead of ourselves here, but I think that if you have any interest at all, I think that we need to know more specifics as far as, number one, is there an offer? Number two, and certainly that's negotiable with the town.
Right.
But what is your is your financial position strong enough to support what we think the theater might need for rehab?
Exactly.
So to speak.
Good question. So, though we went over a little financial section here, what I've done, I put money in an account. All right. And I found, I have a company, and we refurbish houses and stuff. But I put a substantial amount of money in an account to get this started. So, where would the money come from? Well, there's grants, there's fundraisers and all that once we get that nonprofit. In the meantime, it's going to be my money. It's going to be my money. And if I have to sell my house to get more, I will. Well, I have assets. I can make money. I have money. However, that's not the plan. I'm not trying to do this all on my own money. Except for fundraisers, but we have to get to a legal standpoint where we can legally raise money through fundraisers, through go after grants and things like that. In the meantime, it's my money. I mean, what's the financial plan to put money in the bank? I got guys that are going to come and help me fix the building. I don't have every answer. I'm not Superman. I'm not trying to pretend I'm Superman at all. However, I can fix this building. I mean, the roof is the biggest problem. The projector, we don't know the status of that anymore. That's a problem. But if we had to come up with $80,000 for a new projector, for instance, I don't know, either we figure it out or we start at the Playhouse, or we get moving on it. We get the doors open, we get the people of the town in there, we have some meetings, start forming groups. But until we can sell tickets, or the theater group can make any money, or concessions, I'm going to try and get help with it. If not, it's my money. I'm putting it in the bank, And I have a company, like I said, we refurbish homes. Right now I'm doing one from the 1820s. It's a 2,500 foot house on the river next to City Hall and any other town. So
I think, from the perspective of, I'm sure you've got a track record for doing some stuff, but from the perspective of the town, I think the town needs to know, more specifics about, you talk about creating, are you purchasing it? Are you going to wait until you develop a nonprofit, before making an offer? Those are the things that we need in a more or less a formal business plan.
I left that part out of this. And as far as any more formal, I didn't think it would fly here in this setting.
No, the presentation today was fine, but I think that for the town to show true interest, if it's there,
Right.
I think that obviously we would never make a decision based on what you told us today, because we really don't have figures, we don't have the information that we as a town and a council need specifics of.
So what specific figures would you like?
We need a formal business plan.
We need to have a price that you'd be willing to pay for it. We would need
Let me ask you that.
I'm sorry?
But seriously, what do you guys want for this?
No,
this
we're not going to discuss that here. It needs to be an agenda item for open discussion. This is a presentation only. There's no action to be done. This is for information. That's up to you to come up with that number. But the other thing, if I may segue onto your conversation, Doc, that the one thing that we discussed when we had the last entity entertaining taking ownership, they had a plan in place that we're going to do this, this, and this. Here's our timeline. Because the thing that I'm concerned about, if this theater was half a mile outside of town on a side street,
Right.
if it failed, it's out of sight, out of mind. We're talking right smack dab in the middle of our Main Street, and we're starting a huge investment into Main Street with the Maine Department of Transportation. What we're going to be doing the next 4 years through Main Street is going to be generational. It's going to be the next 50, 60, 70 years. It's going to be, they're talking about when we're all well and gone.
Exactly.
So that's something that if it's going to start, it's going to have to start. It's going to have the horsepower, the financial backing to start it and finish it and make it a viable building, whatever you want to do with it. If you want to do the comedy routines, you want to do theater, and you have a lot of really great ideas, and I understand the concept on that. And I understand this is just just an overall outline, your ideas, your thoughts, and what you'd like to do with it. But before it comes to the council, I mean, if you wish to put this on the agenda to discuss and come up with a formal proposal, that's when we can talk about.
Fantastic. I could do that. Like I said, like you said, this is a presentation.
Right. Yep.
Okay, I didn't know what I was walking into today. You guys could be half asleep. Who knows? And
No, but this is information. You obviously have a passion for this. I mean, you've given it a lot of thought, and for you to go all your places and to settle in Pittsfield, I think that's absolutely fantastic. And thank you very much for doing that, because you feel what we from Pittsfield feel too. And I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's palpable.
the timing's
to you.
perfect for this.
Yep, and I agree. The items that we would need to discuss as a council, if you decide to pursue and to make an agenda item, we're going to need to have numbers, going to need to have timelines, very specific numbers that we can talk about, negotiate on, and it may be a process. It may be weeks, maybe months.
There's no other way.
No, you're absolutely right. That was my concern about where the building is. If you get started on it, you start working on the marquee, you run out of money, something happens, you can't finish it, so now we have blue tarp hanging from the marquee if the town doesn't own it,
Absolutely.
and we can't do anything about it because it's a private owner. I mean, you understand, it's a very unique property for the town.
You need to. It's the focal point of the property. Like half my presentation showed that, and what we can do with it. As far as money, all right, yeah, I can put all that together. That wasn't really for tonight.
No, it wasn't.
Specific numbers, but generally, well, I'm starting with a bank account. All right. After that, I got my company. We're making money, so I have other money too. I have investments and other things, but I could put. But as far as yeah, you get another office coming in. Let me know what you want. I mean, I see where you're looking at me like that's some kind of crazy question. But what do you guys want? Because I'll give you money if that's what you want. But it's also gonna take out of what I'm gonna do in that building. You know what I mean? So I only have so much that I've put away to start this off. I gave Captain a copy of that bank account if anyone wants to look at it. By the way, it's not $20. You know what I mean? And yeah, we can certainly do all that. And basically, if you're going to get 3-4 other offers, listen to them, then talk to me. Okay? And ask that if you guys could do that.
Certainly.
Okay? And let me know if because this is going to be a lot of work I'm still putting forward. So let me know
Yep.
where we are on this.
Certainly. Council, any other questions, comments? Anyone in the audience? Very well. Yeah, Captain, please.
Yes, I just wanted to know, and thank you for your interest in the community and the theater and the downtown, and you have a lot of great ideas, so it was a very good presentation, and then you'll move forward toward the next step.
Absolutely.
Putting it all together.
And the same way we're talking about money, finances, this everything else. Everything, money's not the only issue at all. How are you going to pull this off? How am I going to get the Amish to come in, join the community, and do a talk with us? How am I going to get people from across the country to give me their stories? I got it all worked out, and I can sit and talk to you for 2 hours about every little step of the way. So if anybody wants to talk about anything, and I understand you have a conflict of interest, I'm talking to this guy, and you can only have maybe one person at a time, but then if there's one person, and everyone's looking at them like, what are they talking about? Figure it out. Figure out a way that we can all talk, okay? And I'd love to tell you intricate little minute details because they're so important, every one of them. I can't throw that out in this setting.
Yeah, understood.
I've already given out kind of enough. And
Yep.
my ideas are, by the way, copywritten and patented and all that stuff. So just so you guys know, but the same way you don't understand the finances, you're not going to understand everything else. There's so much to talk about here, and it can't be talked about today. You do have to look.
Yeah, understood, but the council's first and foremost issue would be the selling of the building, coming up with a price, and then make sure that it's viable from that point on, so that it doesn't turn into another ghost building.
Absolutely.
You know, I just don't want to envision that blue tarp hanging from the marquee, if you know what I mean.
But we got a couple questions.
Well, I know, I understand, I'm exaggerating to make a point, but given the building, what it means to the community, what it used to be in the community, where, I mean, physically where it's located, the town's going to need assurances. And that's, I'm just being very blunt and very open with you.
And that's why I'm asking you what you want. Because there's three questions. Can I do it? Will I do it? And, gee, I can't remember the last one. That's
So the council can probably set up a time when, if we want to discuss a price on that, you know, or we can come up with a price and, you know, offer, counter, I don't know. I mean, we have options here. I mean, but like you said, it's a presentation. It's kind of like your first shot across the bow. Here, this is what I've got. I'll be back, to quote a famous actor, and then we can talk about it in detail at a future meeting.
And the other thing I just couldn't remember just then was, well, what if I can't? Oh, well, what if we had some kind of, I don't know, what kind of guarantee do you have with anyone, though? What if we had some kind of guarantee that you knew what I was going to do? If I couldn't do, then it was only going to add to what we got now and not take us back. Yeah, in other words, let's say I got half the building fixed and I couldn't go on. Well, at least we do have half the building fixed at that point, but what are we going to do with it then? So you could also talk about that. You know, what's going to make you guys feel good? That's why I'm asking you, what do you want? And you know, we'll work on it. If you get a better offer, great. I hope they're going to do what I'm going to do and not just say it. So if they're going to say they're going to do anything I'm going to do, ask them how. Really ask them how. Don't just copy my words. Ask them how.
And if we have it, we will.
Okay, great.
Council, anything else?
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Really, thank you.
All right.
But that was a lot.
So, number 4, public hearings, there are none. We shall move on to number 5, reports. Finance Committee, any report?
You know, we met last week, and I assume we're gonna meet probably the second week in May, something like that.
Second week, you don't mean the May 2nd, the first town council meeting?
No, the week after, May 9th.
Well, on Tuesday, okay. All right, good. Anything else?
Not really. A lot of the stuff that came from that meeting is on tonight's agenda.
All right. All right, you all set? Finance Committee, okay. Ordinance Committee? No reports? All right, Catherine, if you want to move on with the planning, parks, and recycling, please.
Yes, thank you. The planning board will be holding a regular meeting on April 24th, 2023, 7 o'clock p.m. in this room. They have a number of items on their agenda. Things are starting to heat up in town with some proposals coming in. The recycling committee is scheduled for May 13th, 2023 at 6 o'clock p.m. Thank you.
All right, you want to move into the town manager's report?
Yes, thank you. I'll be very quick. Town manager's report. We had the Great Planning Partnership Initiative Program meeting at the end of March. We've received a list of background materials that Gorilla Palmer needs to have to assist them with having proper data for the study to take place. So we'll be working on that and pulling everything together. Second is code enforcement coverage. We've got all kinds of requests for building, plumbing permits and everything. Our alternate code officer, Travis Bull, will be going on vacation, and Al Tempesta will be covering. Al is our regular code officer. Number 3, FAA reimbursement requests. We have a number of requests and reports going back to last year for reimbursement on the stormwater project that had to be done first before the hangar project and the taxiway were started. And once you reach a certain percentage of your cost, you have to wait in order to get the other 30% of the monies that are owed. So now we're at the period of time where we can be reimbursed. So all the paperwork has gone in to the federal government, and there are additional reimbursement requests that we're working on getting filed. Number 4 is funding for the water main replacement. We're still looking around for funding on that project because we have the sewer design and construction monies as well as the water design, but not the water construction funding. So we are continuing to look for different avenues for that. And I will skip down, I've mentioned the planning board meeting, so we've got some airport hangar projects and some other rezoning projects coming in. We did get our recreation credit card, so that was really good. And we notified the rec director, so this will be for items that have to be paid for by a credit card, and there's no other way to obtain the funding. We have some positions that we've been advertising. The full-time code officer, we actually have 4 applications now from being online and 2 applicants from the newspaper, so that's really good. Library director, this one was the fastest moving project I have seen online or from ads through the newspapers. We have 8 inquiries from out of state. So this will be quite interesting. I think we'll do those by Zoom in the beginning here. Number 9 is the insurance application for our commercial policy. That is a large package that we'll be putting together. We heard news from the school that their insurance rates are going to increase 23 or 25%. I hope that's not going to happen to us. Usually our increases are a lot smaller. All the grant reports for 2022 were filed. They were due in January, February. And now we're doing the reports for all the grants that we have for the first quarter of 2023. And I had listed at the end of the report, which is out on the table, all of the activities coming up, which is the Summer Concert Series starting July 6th, going through August 31st. Thursday evening, 6 to 8 p.m. at Hawthorne Park. Certainly a good place to go, and wonderful music and fellowship. And then on September 10th, 2023, we have our 7th annual Main Cheese Festival at Manson Park from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Thank you.
All right, Captain, thank you very much. Excuse me. So let's move on to old business, order 23-04. Captain, please.
Order 23-04, tabled. Order that the town council hereby authorizes the town-wide reappraisal to maintain equitable assessments, and such authorization to execute the agreement for the town-wide reappraisal requires the appropriation of funds for this project as follows. 3/3 with reevaluation completion date 2026. For the 2024 commitment, $40,000, year required 2023. For the 2025 commitment, $40,000, year required 2024. For the 2026 commitment, $40,000, required in 2025. Also, the first part of the actual commitment being put together, $91,500, 2025, year required. And for the 2026 commitment, which is the last part of the whole reevaluation being put together, $61,000 due in year 2026 for a total of $272,500. Be it ordered that these funds are to be appropriated in each of the years listed above.
Make a motion, we table order 2304.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
They wanted it tabled because a representative from RJD couldn't be here tonight,
Okay, very well.
so there's nothing to speak on. Can we just table it until until somebody is?
Yep.
So we don't have to have it on the next meeting and then
Yeah, they
table it
indicated,
again?
they indicated they'd be here on May
Okay.
2nd.
All right, great.
Any questions, Council? It was in the notes in the package. And that would likely be for the following resolution, but we'll move that on a separate. So, hearing no further discussion, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of tabling order 23-04 please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. We shall table till the next meeting, order 23-04. Catherine, let's move on to resolution 23-28, please.
Resolution 23-28 table. Resolved that the town council accepts the bid of RJD Appraisal for a town-wide reappraisal to maintain equitable assessments in the amount of $40,000 for 2023, $40,000 for 2024, $131,500 for 2025, and $61,000 for 2026. For a total of $272,000, waive any technicalities in the bid, and authorize the town manager to execute the town's general services contract for same.
For a motion from the council, please.
Make a motion, we table resolution 23-28.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments, council? Same reason as before. Very well, hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of table of resolution 23-28, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 23-28 shall be tabled. So with that, we shall move into new business. Catherine, if you would, ordinance 23-03.
Yes, thank you. Ordinance 23-03, set the public hearing on May 2nd, 2023. Town of Pittsfield ordinance authorizing borrowing of up to $1,250,000. The Town of Pittsfield Town Council hereby ordains the borrowing of up to $1,250,000 to finance costs of the certain capital improvements in the town as identified herein on the following terms. 1. Pursuant to the Constitution of the State of Maine, the Maine law, including Title 30A, Section 5772 of the Maine Revised Statutes as amended, and the town charter and all other authority thereto enabling, the town of Pittsfield is authorized to borrow from the Maine Municipal Bond Bank, the bank, pursuant to a loan agreement between the town and the bank, or through a private banking or financing institution upon the terms and conditions mutually agreed upon by the bank and the town, subject to the limitations of this ordinance, a principal amount not to exceed $1,250,000, and to expend the proceeds thereof for one or more of the following projects. 1. Up to $1 million for the purpose of paving roads within the town and/or site preparation related to such paving. 2. Up to $70,000 for repairs and improvements to certain town-owned bridges and culverts. And 3. Up to $180,000 for the purchase or lease purchase of a dump truck to be used by the town. The town hereby approves and authorizes the issue, sale, and delivery to the bank or another lender as evidence of any loan and against payment therefor, the bonds of the town in a principal amount not to exceed $1,250,000 for a term not to exceed 20 years, and any notes in anticipation of such bonds and notes to be executed on behalf of the town by the town treasurer and countersigned by the mayor of the town, and to be at such interest rates, if any, as may be established by the bank for its fall 2023 issue or another lender, and approved by the treasurer and the mayor with such maturities, dates, denominations, place of payment, paying agent, and registrar, form and other terms and conditions as may be prescribed by the bank or another lender, and is approved by the treasurer and the mayor, the bonds and the notes, such approval to be conclusively evidenced by their execution of the bonds or notes. The treasurer and mayor are hereby authorized to provide on behalf of the town that any of the bonds may be made redeemable or callable with or without premium prior to maturity. 2. The mayor, the treasurer, and other proper officials of the town be and are hereby authorized in its name and on its behalf to execute and deliver under the seal of the town, attested to by its clerk, any agreements, certificates, or other documents relating to the issuance of the bonds and any notes in anticipation thereof, to be in the usual and ordinary form utilized by the bank or another lender, which is hereby approved, and to contain such other terms and provisions not contrary to the general tenure hereof, as the treasurer may approve, with his approval to be conclusively evidenced by his execution thereof. the mayor, the treasurer, and other proper officials of the town be and hereby are authorized and empowered in its name and on its behalf to do or cause to be done all such acts and things as may be deemed necessary or desirable in order to effect the following authorized herein. 3. The mayor and the treasurer are hereby authorized to execute and deliver on behalf of the town a loan application and other applications to the bank or any lender as needed for approval to issue the bonds and notes. 4. The mayor and the treasurer and other municipal officers and officials of the town be and are hereby authorized in its name and on its behalf to do or cause to be done all such acts and things as may be necessary or desirable in order to effect the issuance, sale, and delivery of the bonds and notes in anticipation thereof herein above authorized, including to execute all documents and certificates as may be necessary or appropriate in connection with the sale of the bonds. 5. The town is authorized to issue general obligation bond anticipation notes in anticipation of such bonds, such notes to be signed by the town treasurer and countersigned by the mayor, and to be sealed with the seal of the town and attested by its clerk, and to be in such form and contain such terms and provisions as the officers executing the same may approve, their approval to be conclusively evidenced by their execution thereof. 6. The town covenants and certifies that, as to any of the bonds and notes that are issued with the intent that interest thereon be exempt from federal income taxation, no part of the proceeds of the issue and sale of such bonds and notes authorized to be issued by the foregoing, including any notes and bonds and renewal thereof, shall be used, directed, or indirectly in any manner which would cause such bonds and notes of the town to be private activity bonds or arbitrage bonds, within the meaning of sections 141 and 148, respectively, of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986, as amended the code. 7. This ordinance shall take effect 30 days after its adoption. The end.
This will say, you live happily ever after. I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
I move we open discussion on ordinance 23-03.
Second.
Actually, if I may, this is a decision to set the public hearing.
Set the public hearing.
Do you want to read?
Move we set the public hearing, ordinance 23-03.
You wish to second that?
Yes, second.
Okay, very well. We have setting ordinance 2303 to public hearing. The next meeting, May 2nd. Any discussions or questions on that? Yes.
Is it open to the floor first or any?
And it's open to anybody on the floor. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments on setting to public hearing this ordinance? Very well. I'll close to public input. Councilor Jester, please.
Yeah, so during our finance meeting last week, this was discussed pretty heavily. And I'll be honest, I left there feeling a little bit more confused than I entered, which is not usual. But the figures here seem to be, one, can we explain where these numbers are coming from so that we have that information going into the public hearing? Can we put that on record of where these figures that are listed, where they're represented in our 2023 budget?
Certainly.
Okay.
And we usually do a sheet for the public so they'll know where those items do come from.
Sure. So these were all items that we approved during the December 2022 budget discussion to be spent and appropriated during the 2023 fiscal year. Is that correct?
Yes, once we have the ordinance and go through all the steps, yes.
Right, but these were approved in our budget from last year. Okay. I see a couple things that are missing. One is two items that are missing. One is the small 3/4 ton truck, because that was approved as part of our loan for last year. That was part of the debt service, as was the $13,357, I believe, for the fire truck. And I don't see either of those in this request.
So those were listed under debt service, as well as we have an approval from the prior year that already has gone through ordinance. So if you want to add them in here, we can do so, but they're already in debt service.
Okay, but so is the 180,000 for the truck. That was in debt service as well, correct?
No, just a payment toward it. So back in the ordinance that we did in the prior year, when you first came on the council, we had
Sure.
that big $2,090,000
Sure.
item. And so we only approved certain items. And so if you go back in the budget for that year, and look at the capital improvement plan, one of the trucks is listed there, one of the big trucks. So we don't need to put it in the ordinance again. And the little truck was also listed there.
Okay.
So if we want to start all over again on those, we can do that. But it seemed to be the education of the finance committee. It was mentioned to go for both of the big trucks. So one is already got an ordinance that authorizes us going to get the money. This is the second year that would get the second truck to go for the money.
Michael? Yeah. So are there two trucks? Are there supposed to be 2 trucks purchased?
2 dump trucks, one from the prior year that was not approved. It's in the enabling ordinance, but the council at the time agreed to only go forward for the paving, the culvert work, and I think that was all they approved, but the big truck is in the enabling ordinance. We need to go out with that ordinance to get the money by putting out an RFP or going to the main bond bank.
But the ordinance for that money was never approved by the council.
They actually did approve the entire amount, but then only
Yeah.
went out to borrow a certain amount, a lower amount, leaving the truck, some of the other items on the table.
That came to us in like February, March, right?
Yeah, we passed the 2.09 million,
But borrowed one.
but only borrowed 1.07 million.
Correct.
Right. You approved the ordinances in December of 2021.
No, this was February 1st of 2022.
22, yeah, correct.
We passed that overall ordinance based on the previous year's
That's right.
budget season.
But we
And the reason we passed all of it is because each individual item had to come back to us anyway.
That's right.
And at the time, so we passed all of it. The reason we didn't end up passing some of it was I don't think we really had the information at the time.
Yeah, and it seemed
With-
like a lot. People were
Yeah.
worried about the amount.
Yeah, maybe like
involved.
sticker shock and all that, but
That's where the 650,000 for the fire truck came out.
right, yeah.
Right. That was that discussion.
Right.
That's correct. Yeah. 600.
So at the
600,000.
finance committee meeting, we were going to use the ordinance that was already approved, because then we don't have to spend 2 more months trying to get it approved.
And that makes complete sense. I somewhere in that conversation last Tuesday night, I got spun around on where that money was.
I'm
coming
pretty
from.
sure we all did, but
Too many, too many capital projects and too many ordinances.
So that part's clear for that truck, for the
for
fire truck.
the fire truck. Fire truck's coming from that.
It's coming from the
Previous year.
2022 ordinance.
Nothing else is coming from the 2022 ordinance.
You had noted at the finance committee to go for both trucks. So one of the dump trucks would come from that.
No,
I went back and listened to the tape to make sure I had it right.
Are there
no,
two
no. I think
trucks that we're getting?
I think the confusion there is when we say both trucks. There's a 10-wheeler, 180,000. There's also a 3/4 ton truck, right, Donnie?
He's got 2 dump trucks on the CIP.
We didn't
Yeah.
we didn't approve $280,000 dump trucks.
No.
Right. That's what I don't want to happen is you're combining 2 different years and kind of getting the 2 different dump trucks kind of jumbled up, balled up, whatever you want to say. We want the $180,000 dump truck, and we want the 50 some odd thousand dollars.
And I've made you guys aware of this when we were going through the 2023 budget process.
Right.
That is a 2021 number that you're using for that truck.
Right.
$180,000. So if you go out and borrow $180,000, I don't know who you're going to get to sell a $230,000 truck that it is today for $180,000. If you're looking at new or
I don't think
slightly used, or can you use that money to buy? Is there going to be a limitation on what you can borrow money against? Like some places won't finance something that's 6 or 7 years old. Some banks. Because $180,000, I will tell you, will not buy a dump truck.
Well, so Ron, the public works dump truck, there was a debt service for $38,577.
$38,577. There was also $12,580 for a 3/4 ton dump truck
Yeah.
with plow.
There's two
Well,
payments in the debt
we're
service.
discussing between you and that price at $60,000 in 21. That was figures that Steve had got. That was for a 4 or 5 year old ton truck. It wasn't for a 3/4 ton. But either way, you need another truck, whether it be a small ton truck, a 3/4 ton, do the same thing with a plow.
Yeah, you're not buying a 3/4 ton truck right now for $60,000. Not with a plow.
Well, no, because the half tons of that, and that's why
Yeah.
I said that those figures were from 21. So that's, I don't want that to be confused, because I did get some pricing from O'Connor and stuff last year, and they were talking 220. Whited was talking 220 for a dump truck. So that was way more than what Steve had got initial quotes for.
I've been on the phone all week with different places trying to find a truck, and they're 225. Set up a plow wing sander, they're 225 new.
So,
That's brand new.
so
That's brand new.
I have a question for you though. If we went through this whole process and all the gyrations, all the pain that the finance committee went through to do 180,000, but you're saying that's not going to work, did they waste their time? I mean, you acknowledge that the price is from 2021. Why did we not update that? Why did we not get current numbers that are real?
I tried to explain that at the last meeting, but they were talking about spending $50,000 and getting a used dump truck. So I didn't, at this point, again, I'm thoroughly confused.
Yeah,
I'll
I'll be honest
bring
with you.
that to your attention, that was pricing, that was a while ago, and this has been sitting, again, for over a year, sitting here.
So I heard you well Tuesday night. And I understood exactly what you were saying because I've been out purchasing trucks as well, so I get it. All right. So my concern is, did we know?
These numbers were during the budget season, though, not the year before. We just went through it in
Last
November.
year, 8 months ago.
Oh, yeah, not
7 months
5
ago.
6 months ago.
5 6 months
Can I
ago.
ask a question?
But it's actually closed to
Public
public
comments.
input. I'm sorry.
So
So you talked at the meeting about buying used vehicles, not new. So are we saying that the...
I don't think we really specified whether it was used or new. We gave them a dollar amount and whatever you can go get
My
for it.
concern was if you were going to go out and get financing of that 180, that's why they talked about the 60,000 for a ton truck. If we were going to do debt service, borrow the $240,000 and see what we can do with that money, because our need is not just one truck. And can we buy used? And if we get the loan from a bank, they're going to say, well, you can't buy that truck, it's 7 years old. You can't use that money for that. So that was my question to the finance committee was, how is the financing going to be set up? Can we buy 2 used pieces of equipment if we borrow that $240,000? The 60 that we had in the 180 gives us 240. That gives us some options.
I think what happened last Tuesday night is we tried to fit 10 pounds in a 5-pound bucket. I think is what happened.
Yeah,
We crammed a bunch of numbers in, right? And 2 big expenditures.
Yes.
2 big trucks that should have never been put together that way. And part of that's the fault, the weather, what have you.
Yeah, we were here
people
till
can't
10:30,
build.
so it was-
So let me ask you a question.
We had to move things around, but
Can this be sold the way it is to the public next meeting? Because we don't even have our ducks in a row some way.
that was my fear.
Council.
What's that?
No.
How they can be sold to the council this way?
No, I'm not, yeah, I understand. I'm not questioning the validity of the effort that Finance Committee put in. I've heard stories, and it was a painful process, and many reasons why I try to shy away from it, and that's the one. Is this ready to go to public hearing? Let me ask you a simple question.
I don't believe it is.
I don't either. It should be written, whatever we did for the 2023 budget back in December 5th, whatever, that should be what this is based on. I don't care about the previous year and what we did and didn't do.
Well, this is what it's based upon.
But
You
if you
want-
Well, there's no,
You wanted $1 million in here for the paving of the roads, $70,000 for the repair and improvements for the bridges and culverts, and it says $180,000 for the truck.
And I guess I'm kind of going to rehash something here, but it sounds like Donnie has provided updated figures even up in through the budget season, and yet we landed at 180, and I'm not quite sure why that number ended up on our plate.
Well, I'm not completely sold that the 180,000 is not doable.
For
We're not going to get something brand new off the lot. We may not even get anything with a radio. But what I'm saying is that 180,000, if it is 3, 4, or 5 years old, why would you need to finance it? We're getting the money for that.
Well, I think that the problem was it was brought in front of us as a brand new truck, and we were going to be able to do something.
Well, and I think we ought to shy away from that. If they have an idea for a brand new truck, and that brand new truck translates to this number, the finance committee and the council says that number is good, get your brand new truck. Here's your number. Work with it. That's what I see here. So if these numbers, the 1 million paving, 70,000 for the bridge of culverts, 180 for to replace a dump truck, if that was indeed the way it was the last budget 5, 6, 7 months ago, I think there's a lot of other stuff in here that probably didn't need to be in here. And there's a lot of minutia that's probably confusing. I'm sure their details and their accuracies and their facts, that's part of the story, but I think we need to look at the bottom line. If the bottom line is here, those 3 line items, 1,070,180, can we sell that? Is that correct, and can we sell that?
So there
to
was
Donnie-
also the discussion about how it would take 2 to 3 years to get a new truck. So we have to try for a used vehicle.
Well, okay, we're going right back to $180,000. That's what was asked for to replace a dump truck.
So here's
How do you do it? You're the department head. That's up to you.
So here's my last question on that. Why are we not requesting to borrow at this time for the small truck with the plow? Why is that not being included in this?
Because that was included in the $2,090,000 overall ordinance, so we already have it, so we can go out.
So we
and
don't
borrow.
have to.
So
Okay,
we
so
don't-
that was included in that as well.
Yeah, so
The
we
fire
don't
truck
have
and
to.
that truck.
Yes, correct. And so
Okay.
that's why they were discussed at the finance committee, because they were already approved. We don't have to go out and spend 2 months getting the approval on this ordinance, because it doesn't go into effect for a month after it's approved. So it won't go into effect until June 2nd. And we're being told we have an emergency with one of the trucks. So you can use your other authorization for the ordinance that was approved, but you didn't go out and get the money for it. So I would come in with the RFP for the money at the next meeting for what he's going to do if he can't get it through one of the companies.
I understand. This is the circle that
I
we were
know.
talking around last Tuesday.
There's too many projects.
Couldn't quite get the straight line to get moving. So, all right. So the last I guess idea is, I know banks don't like to divulge information if they're not being awarded a loan or what have you. But do we have any kind of parameters that Donnie can work inside of, years, miles, condition, in order to procure a $180,000 truck? Because I guess before I say go, we got to make sure it's feasible, right? Because why do we approve? Why do we put it in front of the citizens to approve the money if we're not going to be able to afford?
Because we've got one large package, and so the $1 million makes it very desirable. And then you tag on these other items.
No, I think you're talking about can we actually get a usable, reasonable truck for $180,000?
Are we going to authorize this? Are we going to authorize the loan, take the money, right? Or authorize that loan and then not be able to do anything with it because he can't find a truck that's going to pass the bank's muster?
Let me go to Donnie.
I guess the biggest question is being more concerned, Mr. Mayor, is Catherine, once we procure this money from the bank, does the council have the power to allow us to use that money for a used vehicle? Or do we have to answer to the bank saying that we're going to buy a new vehicle?
We're going to put in the RFP. Let's say you go to one of the companies that you work with, where you got the waste transporter, and they have a used vehicle there, and they say, yes, we've got a financing agency, and you can finance this because it's coming from them, and they send us over there, and we get the loan, and this is great. It's a purchase sales or outright purchase. For the bank, we're going to put in the RFP, this is what we're doing, and they're going to bid on it, so then that's the requirement.
So it's going to take a little effort on Donnie's part. He's not going to call one dealer, I need this, what do you have on the lot? That doesn't sound like you're going to get what you need or even close to what you want for $180,000. Go ahead, Jason.
So if you look back at ordinance 2201 of February 1st, 2022, that ordinance approved up to $1 million for the roads, $600,000 for a fire truck, $180,000 for purchase of a dump truck, $70,000 for repairs and improvements for bridges and culverts, $60,000 for a lease purchase of a new truck to be used by the highway department, and $180,000 to be used for the SCBA's. So that was the 180 grand was already covered in that 2.09 million. So now we're adding another 180 grand for another dump truck in this loan.
We were asked for another dump truck, yes. Two dump trucks, one wheeler and one regular dump truck.
But we didn't, that's not what we approved in the during budget season.
That's what was in the capital improvement plan.
Donnie, is that passing the common sense test to you?
We never acted on the. Go ahead, Don. Sorry.
Well, I'm confused again, I guess.
You can't go back to the 2022 ordinance that we passed and cherry pick the dump truck and then say we're going to have another dump truck. Everything we did in December of 2022 was based on the fact that we never bought that dump truck. So we wouldn't buy another one. If the conversation during that entire workshop time frame was that Donnie's going to go and buy the one that we already approved, we probably wouldn't have told him to go and buy another one and a 3/4 ton. I don't think our intent was to buy two $180,000 dump trucks plus a 3/4 ton plow. That wasn't the intent. So acting on this previous ordinance is not something we should do. Either you do it and you take the 180 out of this loan, or you don't do it and you leave it in here. I don't think our intent. Brent, you were at the meetings. You guys were. Isn't that what we were talking about?
That's the way I recall.
I don't remember it ever being $280,000 dump trucks plus another plow.
We received capital improvement budget requests for these items, so they were put onto the CIP and then approved. If you only want to get one dump truck and he's got other issues with the trucks, that's fine, we'll just get one.
That one was yes, I agree. A dump truck and a plow truck was approved. But you don't go back to something that wasn't approved or we never acted on and dump that on there as well. Then you're going to have a mill rate through the roof at some point.
Well, you actually did act upon it in terms of the ordinance getting approved, but then you didn't move forward.
Exactly. So you can't now move forward with that and these things. We're going to end up with the dump trucks we need, but you're going to end up with a mill rate that's ridiculous.
You actually can, but if you don't want to do it, that's fine.
Heather, you had something you want to say, please?
I guess I don't see a problem with it because you need 2 trucks. I mean, we're at the point now where the trucks, along with a lot of other things in town, are getting to the point where they all need to be replaced at once because it keeps getting kicked down the road. So last year, the council acted on authorizing borrowing the money, and then it was not actually put out to bid for whatever reason, whether it was supply chain or whether it was scheduling or change of staff or whatever. But the authorization was there in 2022 to go purchase this vehicle. It was in the CIP plan. You're not doubling up because it's happening this year. You already authorized the spending last year to do that.
But we are doubling
No.
up if we put it on this.
No. What we authorized in December of 2022 was instead of saving up towards that money, we were going to take that as a debt service and spend that money immediately,
Right.
approving the first payment in this year of $38,577. So it was the same 180, just moved into a different way of spending the money.
Right.
That it's not 2 separate numbers. It was just one number that we decided to spend a different way.
But it's 2 separate items on the CIP plan. There's 2 trucks on there. One was approved in 2022, the second was approved for 2023. So it's in the spending plan.
Yeah.
Well, how do you determine which ones were approved? There's a project number, right?
Well, they're on the CIP, Heather has the correct information. 2 actual trucks were approved. They're worded differently, but they both were submitted for the figure of $180,000 on the request form.
So out of the 2 trucks that are approved in 2022 and 2023, we're finally getting around to ordering the first of those 2?
Yes, because it wasn't approved by the council, sticker shock, I think, back in...
No. What are you talking about? We already approved, we just went through this discussion where one of these was approved for, during the 2022 budget process, one of them was approved through the 2023 budget process. And you're saying that it came back and it was not approved again?
So the ordinance was approved and we left it as is with the $2,090,000 in February of 2022. The council decided we would keep the figures there. However, at that time, they were only comfortable, because of the amount of money it was, to go and borrow the paving money for $1 million, the culvert and bridge money for $70,000. And so that was the $1,070,000 that was borrowed. So that was fine. And then we came up to this next year, and we have the approval in the CIP for another truck. And so we simply were looking at both of the trucks and talking about them at the meeting, which is why it got confusing. If you don't want to get both trucks, we'll take it off this one.
I think that was the intention of the council in the 2023 budget process, was that the one that was, in my thoughts, killed in February, that was dead in the water, DOA. And that we were moving forward with one singular purchase of one large dump truck, wheeler or otherwise, new or used condition or otherwise, whatever you could afford at that level. And that the only other truck that was to be purchased was the small truck with a plow.
For $60,000.
For $60,000.
So
And-
let's say you do that, if you want to state, don't use the other ordinance, forget it, then we've got a couple of months before we can do anything, because this ordinance will have to go through. And so the thought was, if you just want one, that's fine. I think you'll be happy to get one truck. You can use the old ordinance to get the truck because it's already approved, and all we have to do is get a purchase sales agreement and funding through a financing agency that he works with, or we put out an RFP to the commercial banks.
So what's the difference to the mill rate if we do, let's just say, theoretical, what's the difference to the mill rate if we do both If
It
we were to
would
do both,
be the
because
amount, it would be the amount of the debt service payment that we would have for the truck.
so you're basically looking at 2 debt service payments.
Yes, correct.
So you'd be looking at 38,000. You're just around 0.2 of a mil.
Of our mill, and then when you look at the overall school and the county and everything, it's a lot smaller, but in our budget, that's correct.
But if we've gone through the process and approved one of the 2 supposed original trucks, why would we not keep that? I mean, I'm confused why we're talking about projects in the 2023 capital improvement plan that were approved for the 2022.
With
They're
figures
two
in
separate trucks,
2021.
they're not the same.
No,
truck.
no, I'm talking, no, let me clarify, I'm talking about the $1 million paving and 70,000 bridge and culverts. We just said that was approved February 22.
For that year, this is a new $1 million in 2023. Let's stop talking
So,
about.
so we're getting the same numbers year after year.
Yes, it was proposed that we were going to do $1 million for the paving for several years, and then that we were going to do the 70,000 for several years for the culverts and the bridges. So all of your paving money has been spent, except for the money we held back from the company that needs to fix things.
Okay, so the bottom line is, maybe I'm kind of simple on these numbers here, that's why I never went into accounting. I'd be a farmer really quick, because I wouldn't be able to eat. So we have an obligation to purchase 1 truck or 2? Do we know that?
2 are on the CIP, if you only want to do 1.
No, I wish you wouldn't keep adding that in there. Didn't you say that last year, the council didn't want to go through with that 180? That's why we ended up with that 1 million for paving and 70,000 for bridge and culverts?
At that time.
At that time.
Yes.
So is that still in effect and current in the law of the land for now?
Yes, I checked with the town attorney, yes, it's still in
Okay,
effect.
so why are we considering putting it back on there if we already said no once? So we back to saying yes, maybe? Am I simplifying this a little too much? Because I don't understand this.
My thought is when we voted, the way I understood it is when we voted last year in February, we voted down 600,000 for the truck, for the fire truck, 180 for the public works truck. We decided not to move forward at that moment. At that moment, in my mind, that request was DOA. Anything that was done after that was a new and separate request.
Right.
Request 1, DOA, done. Gone. Not to be considered again. And anything we were doing for the 2023 budget, and it's not that we don't want to get the public works the truck, it's just that it seems like we're kind of doing an end run around the budget approval that was done this year for the citizens and what we had them vote on. That's what I'm kind of feeling. I'm feeling like they voted on 1 truck. We didn't borrow that money last year, and that's what was able to help us keep our mill rate as low as it was. We voted to purchase 1 truck, and that's what we put in front of them. And if we try doing this 2 truck thing right now, we're basically doing an end run around their approval, and I don't feel comfortable with that.
I agree with it. I don't know if that's an oversimplification, but
So you
I agree with you.
do have the approval from last year, but if you don't want to go forward with what was left that was not borrowed, that's fine.
Sure, we have the approval because it was on the CIP plan, therefore it can carry forward up to 2 years,
We did
correct?
the ordinance, yeah.
That's correct. So, my thought process is though that when we, as a council, and I think I speak for a number of us, that when we said no to that, that was pretty much done. And that now we would only be moving forward with 1 truck at this current time. And if we want to do, if he needs another one, then we need to look at that for our budget process for 2024, right? And then we would do another truck.
And unless we need to plow roads this year, and Stan doesn't plow roads, then you're gonna need more trucks, because you're gonna have 2 plow trucks, or 2 sand trucks. One of our trucks right now, the issues at Wheeler is, tomorrow I can send it over to T.W. Clark and put $12,000 into it, and that's bare minimum. And then we've got another plow truck that's got push plate issues that we're gonna have to get fixed at some point. So you've got 2 plow trucks right now. This will add a 3rd. You've got 5 plow boots. So at some point down the road, We gotta figure it out.
So
That's all.
So
I
let
just
me.
want you guys to be aware of that. That's
Yeah, no, understood. Thank you.
Last year, when we didn't approve anything more than the 1.07, I thought we said, because we didn't have the information, did we? And we said, come back when you have the information, and nothing ever came back.
Well, that's what I thought this was.
And then, when it did come back, it was budget season, so we wrapped it up into that one, and moved forward during that budget season. I don't think anybody said, no, Donnie, you're not gonna get the dump truck. I think we said,
Come back with
you
the
know,
info.
yeah, tell us what you need and when you need it, and then we'll review it. It was the same as the fire truck with Bernard. Unless I am misremembering that, but
I don't think you are. I guess the bottom line is, if this was an approved line item in the budget we did last year for this year, then it's a no-brainer. But if it's something new added, that's where I would draw a line. I mean,
But I don't know if
they were
it's
both approved. It was just a little,
not clear.
it was unclear during budget season. We were acting on like numbers that,
so you guys
but
would
some inflate those numbers that we were acting on, right? During that budget season. If we had taken it all out, we would have had different numbers come November that we were acting on, rather than the ones we had because we didn't take out any of those loans.
So what was the approved spend for 2022 on that dump truck, Kevin?
You can't say dump truck either.
Truck.
No, say one or the other because there's two of them on there.
All right, it's listed.
Well, there's the dump truck and then there's the public works.
For 2022, it was listed as replace dump truck, $180,000. And then for 2023, the request was replace 1999 Wheeler dump truck, $180,000.
So, but was there any first payment approved in the 2022 cycle? So during the December 2021 budget?
There actually was a payment in the debt service. It didn't get used because we didn't get the dump truck at that time.
And do you have the figure for how much that was?
Not with me, no.
Okay.
It was in the almost 40,000.
so this
38,577.
No, we're talking two different numbers now.
Okay.
So
They were
debt
relative.
service has been approved 2 years in a row.
Mhm.
We didn't act on it in 2022 and spend the money. Which theoretically saved that tax burden in 2022.
That would be correct, yes.
Now we're in 2023 and we're talking about it. I don't want to double the tax burden.
That's what I'm saying.
That's where we're at.
That's
That's what
what
I
I'm
think
saying.
that we're going to do. That's what we would do. We would take it from a 0.2 hit to a 0.4 hit mill rate. We would double our tax burden if we took both loans this year.
So that $180,000 that was budgeted in 2022, is that real in an account somewhere? I'm just exaggerating to make a point here, or was that number pushed against the tax rate and just never budgeted, so we ended up more in the black than we anticipated? I mean, is that number sitting in the account, we can take that number, put it in the satchel, move it over to this account, now we can buy 2 trucks, or was that
No,
Oh.
all?
because we didn't borrow it.
Okay,
We just
so it's
did
not
the
real-
enabling
okay.
legislation.
So we want to take that item that was budgeted 2022 that was never used, never accounted for 2022, and charge against the 2023 budget, where it was only approved for 1 truck and not for 2, is that correct?
It depends on what you could work out with the companies. You might be able to have it.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm not talking about negotiating for the price of a truck. I'm talking about what we, as the council, approved last year for 2023 was 1 truck or 2?
1 truck in 2023.
Oh, 1 truck, there you go. So if 1 truck on there, it's on the budget, let's do it. But 2 trucks, but the one for 2022 was never acted upon, right?
It was acted upon, but you didn't get the loan for it.
So here's what.
Right, but that money's gone then. I mean, we never got the loan for it, so the money's not real to us, so it's kind of a wash in the budget.
Right. That will be a valid ordinance for how long?
Several years.
Okay. So, to Donnie's point, should we find ourselves, you'll know from the paving contracts and what's offered to us by August? Is that traditionally when our paving?
You mean sand?
You mean your plowing?
I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've got some tentative. I did talk to Stan, and he said that when Carol retired, that was probably when he would get done. And Carol told me last week he was done plowing this year. So, with that being said, I don't know if this is his last year. Stan said that if he did anything, it may be a year, but he didn't really give me
But we would,
that he was going to do it or he weren't going to do it. So
we
that's-
would open that up to additional bids though, correct? To additional opportunities if there was.
When will you know?
Yeah, if you could find somebody to bid on it. There's
Right.
everybody's- I
But
mean,
when does that process hit?
usually it should hit us around August, isn't it, Catherine, when we do the bid?
Around August.
Bidding
Yeah,
for-
it used to be July, it's now August.
Well, if you're worried about seeing anybody, I'd recommend starting sooner.
Sooner.
So now, if we have the money approved to spend now, based on the 2022, if we spend that, but we're not approving the one that we said in 2023, we leave that on the books in case he finds out that we have no plowing, and then we make a move towards that, and we have that opportunity still for you to make a move, right?
Yeah, and the biggest thing is getting less than one here right now, because we have an excavator that needs to be moved, and addiction and stuff that needs to happen ASAP. People that are sitting.
So,
Oh, Heather, go ahead, please.
So, from what you're saying, is let's act on the 2022 authorization to borrow for the dump truck.
Yeah.
Because that gets done in the dump truck a lot sooner.
Right now.
Than if we're acting on the 2023 one.
Yes.
But I would suggest act on the 2022 because it's ready to go. Get the RFP out there, find a truck ASAP so we can actually use it to work this summer.
Right.
Also, put this forward to public hearing, act on the 2023, enact the authorization to borrow. Don't separate it out because then we have to go through an entire another ordinance at the time in August when we might find out we need plowing trucks. You always have the opportunity of not actually acting on it like you didn't in 2022. But the authorization will be there and ready to go in a more nimble way than if you don't act on it next meeting in order to have that in place to go forward.
I'm okay with that because,
Protecting the town.
but that's not in what we're voting on to move forward tonight.
yes, it is.
It is.
Where
So
is
I'm
it?
saying leave this intact. Do not
Yeah,
separate
yeah, yeah.
this out because you might need it come August or September, which I totally think we should be getting a commitment and finding some bid specs to put together for the plowing ahead of time before September. But leave this intact because otherwise you have to go through the ordinance thing all over again. And that's a 2-meeting process before you even get to the point where you pass it. And then you can't do anything for 30 days after that. So it's like a month and a
fine.
half.
So we do the same thing we did in February of 2022.
Right.
Pass it, maybe not act on it.
And that's fine, but that can't be done tonight because that's not in
No,
anything
no,
that we
it's set
have.
for public hearing, but
Right.
I guess the clarification that Heather provided was that if we can take this and sell it, essentially we're gonna sell this to the public next meeting we have.
Yeah.
So that if we're confident with this and we're set with this and we know this is the right way to do it when we have the public discussion for the vote, then anyone has any questions, probably similar or different than what we've come up with tonight.
Right.
We can allay everyone's fears and say, yep, that's a good idea. But I think we're at that point where we can do that.
Right, but next meeting, we can have an agenda item that would be for a resolution to pass what Heather was talking about to move forward with the
Yes,
2023.
that's what we talked
That's what I was trying to clarify. We can't act on what you're saying tonight. We can only act on what we have in front of us.
What I'm saying is don't throw the baby out with the bathwater and separate it out into this. Just act on this entirety and then act on the 2022. The only thing we need to do on the 2022 truck is to have Catherine and Donnie put together the bid specs or the RFP or
And then-
go
and then
out to
act
the
upon
bid
that.
and get it going. And then the only other thing that we need to act on is, yes, buy this truck that Donnie just found.
This is the 2022.
No, this is 2023
No.
borrowing.
This is 2023
It's
bond.
2023.
But the 2022, the one that was passed in 2022, it was proved just like this.
Yeah.
It wasn't acted upon
next time-
for whatever reason.
Next time, do it again.
For-
You want to get it? You'll have it. You'll get
What,
homework.
2022.
You should understand what that means.
2022 that was passed, but it wasn't acted upon. But that is good for what, what'd you say, 2 or 3 years? Ordinances are
Probably
good
4 or
for?
5 years.
So 4 or 5 years. So the one that was passed and accepted in 2022, we can still act upon it and pass it without having to go through the whole process in 23, 24, up to 25, maybe 26. Not that we would want to do that, because when we pass it, there's a need, let's go
No,
wide.
I understand it now.
So that's why I was saying 2023. This is current. If there's action needed on the 2022, that's still viable, and whatever process needs to be for documentation before the council,
It'll save
that can be
2
acted upon.
months. It'll save 2 months.
Yeah.
Ordinance voting to have the option right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Ordinance have the option,
Agreed.
and then you can approve it later.
Is the work we did.
Understood, but to set this public hearing, we don't want to have this kind of conversation in the public hearing. We need to understand what we're selling here, because we are selling it.
That's the problem from last Tuesday night, is it was not clear. I mean, it wasn't even clear tonight until just like 30 seconds ago.
Okay.
So, we're good.
All right.
I'm ready to move.
So any other questions or comments, council? Very well, hearing none. All those in favor of setting ordinance 2303 to public hearing, May 2nd, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Ordinance 2303 will be set to public hearing in the next meeting, May 2nd. So with that, let's move on to ordinance 23-04, please, Catherine.
Ordinance 23-04, set the public hearing on May 2nd, 2023, that the town council hereby ordains that a lot of land at the Pittsfield Municipal Airport be leased to Larry Otto, being a 120-foot by 150-foot parcel designated on Exhibit A, the official Pittsfield Municipal Airport lease map as Lot N, and further that the town manager be authorized to execute an airport land lease and rights agreement with Larry Otto depicting the terms of the lease for a period of 20 years with a renewal option for 2 periods of 10 years each at the beginning rate of 7 cents per square foot.
Look for a motion to council, please.
Move we set the public hearing, ordinance 2304.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments, audience? Very well, I shall close public input. Any questions or comments, council?
I have a question.
Yes.
How do we determine who is offered a lease?
Those that express interest in having a lease at the airport and committing for a 20-year period with the options available. So Frank Woodworth has made arrangements with Larry Otto to build his building for him, his hangar for him, and has submitted all the paperwork, and Larry has approved it. So they wanted to have a hangar built, and that means the town would lease the property to them according to the rate chart.
So, and we have other spaces that we can lease out and have people build more hangars?
Yes, there's along the unused and unregulated taxiway, the old runway that has the taxi lanes there. We've got land on both sides.
And so is there a way that the town can have like a public announcement that, we're accepting bids to lease this, or more like a more public way rather than somebody just knowing somebody that's at the airport or utilizing the airport? Like, is there a way we can advertise it more widely that we have this space available?
The word is definitely around. We have information out on several different websites. It's well known that we have a hangar that will come to fruition at some point this year. It's just behind schedule due to a lot of issues in getting materials and the contractor's schedule and everything. But that will have 6 units that can be leased. But if somebody wants their own independent hangar, that information is definitely out there.
And do we have people lined up to lease these other hangars already?
There are, according to Caleb, there are several people on a list that he has for the individual units. And then we have received 4 inquiries as of late regarding the actual hangar spots.
The extra hangar spots?
Yes, the extra land.
Okay. So those will come to us like piecemeal and we'll have to do a public hearing for each of them?
Yes, and each of them needs to go to the planning board for a site plan review under the zoning ordinance, and each needs to go to the airport committee for approval of their hangar cosmetics and what is going to be built of and everything. So that all gets done at the same time to save time. We don't go from one approval to the next, we do them sort of all at once.
I'm wondering if there's a way we can standardize the hangars down there, either the size, shape, height, or whatever, just to make it streamlined for people so it's a little bit quicker. Like this is our standard hangar package. It's this big, and it's this size, and it's this lease, and signed here on the dotted line, it'll go to the council.
The lease is a standard lease as approved by the FAA and the town attorney, and so we just fill in the blanks on it. And attached to the lease are the requirements for the buildings, for the
So that's already part of it?
Yes.
Okay.
So you brought up an interesting point I'm thinking of now. So we have the potential leaseholder that has the land, 120 by 150. So he's going to build a hangar. He's going to have a hangar built.
Mm-hmm.
He will own that building on leased land.
Correct.
And he's going to lease spots inside from other people's planes.
This one's going to just have his own spot. The town's hangar that's on the town's land that was part of the 4 grants that were put together, that one will be managed by the fixed-based operator and the town together with the revenue coming into the town's coffers. That one will have 6 units there that you can put the plane in.
So do we have other land that we could build other hangars as an investment? If there are people lined up to get spots to put their planes, why wouldn't the town do that? Because we're talking, I don't know how much money they charge for space to park the plane. Is that what they call it, parking planes? They dock ships, I don't know what they do with planes.
So in order to put the hangar on the airport property, we have to meet the FAA requirements, which are very stringent on the work that's to be done. The hangar is like overbuilt, basically.
So,
very expensive.
So as an investment, it's going to be really slow if any return at all.
For the return to come in, it will be slow.
Liability and responsibility for the buildings and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get the money eventually, but it'll take a while.
That was a good question, Heather. I never thought about it. Yeah, Brian, go ahead, please.
Here's a puzzling question for me though. The west runway, is that still usable if had to be?
Are we talking about the
The west, the one that shoots to the west.
one that goes toward the sewer treatment plant?
No, that's the south one.
That's the south.
That's the main one, north south.
So we're talking about the one where the pavement's all dug up and we
No.
have...
Yeah, the one that's almost parallel to the road, right?
That's the east one. Yeah, the one that goes down to the cemetery. That's the east.
We haven't hit the north yet.
The north one is a stubby, little stubby one there. But anyways,
Talking about the old one.
yeah. Well, they always call that the east-west.
Yeah.
Okay. The west one is still usable if had to be, correct?
I would have to go down and look at it.
Okay. The east one is definitely not usable. Because
So
you've got Jersey barriers blocking it off.
Yeah, that's the one close to the road.
All right, that's
Right.
the one where
Down
we
by
do the
cemetery.
By
park.
Blake Bartlett's.
Right, that's
Old
the cemetery.
cemetery.
No, not usable at all. It's for only parking.
Right, that one down there. So why wouldn't you build hangars on that end instead of keep building buildings along the runway that could be usable? If a plane ever came down and got disoriented and went sideways, he's going to crash into the building. Isn't that the purpose of having those long fairways on each side?
Oh, I see what you mean. We're only approved to put the hangars in for whatever reason, the approvals that we got many years ago, I think back in the 1980s and 90s, we're approved to put hangars along the section that we're working on. It doesn't mean we can't look at that in the next airport master plan.
My point is, the other end is never going to be used again as a runway. And
I understand what you're saying.
and that would be ideal to build hangars up and down both sides.
Then you'd have to get golf carts. It's a long way to the gate.
Well, that's okay.
We're actually coming up to a point where we would be involved with the master plan again, so we can look at that.
Because I know in the past, the town's position was they wouldn't sell the land that's out beyond the fairway in the woods there because they needed buffers around the airport. But yet you're filling up the fairways with hangars. So
It's
where's
because
the buffer?
they're approved, they've got approval to do it. But I'll check on
Okay.
that.
Catherine, just one more thing, talking about the master plan for the airport. Something that came up at the last meeting was somebody was asking about water sewer services going out to those new places. Is that something that can get incorporated into the master airport
I
and
did-
possibly have federal funding tied to it
I did write that down for the master
Okay.
plan too. Water sewer is normally not something that AIP, the funding for the airport, can be used for. It doesn't mean there might not be some other type of funding available.
Anything else, council? Very well. Hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of setting ordinance 23-04 public hearing on May 2nd, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Ordinance 2304 will be set to public hearing May 2nd, next council meeting. Catherine, let's move on to resolution 23-32, please.
Resolution 23-32, resolved that the town council approve the request for proposals for the water plant emergency generator annual maintenance and authorize the town manager and all of our associates to seek proposals for same.
Look for a motion from the council, please.
I move we open discussion on, which one are you on right now?
2332.
Resolution 23-32. It's 8:30, what do you want from me?
You want to take a break?
Take a break, Mike.
I know, you're not going back. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments for anyone in the audience? Very well, I'll close public input. Council, any questions or comments on this? The background information is pretty detailed, a lot of information there, but it's fairly straightforward. It's just for the RFPs also. We're not committing to any contract. Anything? Very well. Hearing none, it's essentially to vote. All those in favor of resolution 23-32, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 23-32 passes. Catherine, let's move on to resolution 23-33, please.
Resolution 23-33, resolved that the town council waive the bid policy, chapter 2, administrative code, section 106, regulation of bids and contracts, to accept the estimates of United Hydraulics LLC of Pembroke, Maine, to fabricate one new hopper, 2 open tops, 1 compaction container, and rebuild a compactor to not exceed $125,601.25, and authorize the town manager to execute the town's standard services contract with an additional requirement regarding the down payment of blank that is required by of the company, and furthermore that the funds be transferred and expended from pit number 13, recycling equipment reserve, known as G160300.
All right, thank
Move
you.
we open discussion on resolution 23-33.
Second.
Wow, thank you. Moved and seconded. I'm sorry, I wasn't ready for that, Doc. You went from here to here like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Any questions or comments by anyone in the audience? Anything you want to add on that, Donnie? Any details that?
Well, at this point, I got that quoting back in the fall of last year. I did get a hold of Mike Lanscombe, who is the owner of United Hydraulics, to make sure, because one of those units was a refurbished unit. And back in, I think it was January or so, he had requested a 60% down payment in good faith on the rebuild. And I did get in contact with him this week. He still does have the rebuild that's there. The new one's not a problem. The rebuild he does have and he will hold. He said he just had a guy last week inquire on it, so good thing I called because he can sell it. So at this point, it's there. He thinks the pricing is going to be same on those containers. He's pretty sure of it. He knows accurate or at. At this point, just one of the things we want to make sure of is if you guys want to table this until the next meeting, that's fine. I talked to Catherine. I sent her an email back in January. I looked back on my transfer station one. I didn't get there with the 60% down payment. We want to make sure that we have a standard services contract. I talked with Catherine today to make sure we run it through, that we have an agreement that gets signed before we jump the gun. So if we can hold off onto it until the town lawyer comes back next week to look over the agreement of this company.
Well, we can still authorize it pending the agreement.
Yes.
Rather than wait.
If we can do that, and that's fine. And as far as I'm concerned, yeah, we've got 2 old compactors. I've been keeping them together for the last 27 plus years. As long as the project gets done before the end of the summer or fall, when it gets dry, we want to do it in the dry season, I'll be happy. So I think this will work.
So the couple questions I had, Catherine, in your notes, you said you have not received required agenda sheet from the department. There's an estimate, so we need verification that the price will not change.
Yeah, which we got.
And the amount of required down payment is needed. So there are 3 questions right there, but we're asked to accept this and approve it. I don't know if that's a smart thing. I mean, if any of those 3 things come in and change, we'll have to come back here anyway.
So he's verified that we're all set. At the time that the agenda sheet, I typed it out,
So
we
you-
only had 24 hours.
Okay, so you're talking about verification, price will not change, that's been
We
verified.
Verified
that.
verbally with
Okay.
everything.
So it must have been the last day or 2.
Well, I got a question on that.
Just
Yeah.
did it.
When you get a minute.
Yep. And the other 2, what are you talking about the required agenda sheet from the department?
All right,
I've not received.
I typed it up to get it done. Each of the department heads submits their own capital items.
Right.
This was very rough.
Understood. So what you say, is this
That's the-
complete enough to act upon, or is there more information that we need to wait on and, go by what I was going to suggest, table it until we get that information?
No, I think that he's got the information, so we're all set. I spoke with the town attorney, and they indicated that I just need to change this and just say regarding the down payment that is required of the company, take out the blank, and I'll be all set. Because we're going to authorize this overall item, but the town attorney will give me the language for the down payment to add to the contract, so we can save a week here. Or a couple of weeks, actually.
So what was it you were talking about with the,
We just wanted to make sure that when we entered into an agreement, it was going to be legal, have it looked
Yes.
over by the town attorney before we give somebody some money, and then
Right.
they could take it like being a fly-by-night contract without having an actual written contract, because you're waiving the right to bid. So that was one of the things.
so approving this resolution, we're approving this estimate 102201 from United Hydraulics, correct? Is that the only one you have?
Yes.
Yeah, there's 2 estimates.
And the town attorney has looked at this and we're good to go, we're covered?
She is all set. What we would do is we need to change language in the general services contract.
Okay.
Which we normally don't
All
have a
right,
down
yeah.
payment.
But we wouldn't approve that, that's part of the,
Correct.
okay.
She would approve that.
Yeah, go ahead, Doc.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but these funds are already in the reserve.
Correct, yes. We have the money in the reserve, plus with the additional 30,000 that got approved in the capital budget, in the actual budget, so we're all set.
Okay.
That's what I was going to ask. I didn't see that in the language of the ordinance. So I was just.
Well, I guess the assumption that hit 13, which I could put in reserve.
I think there's actually more money in there, isn't there, Catherine?
You'll have a little bit left over.
Oh, you shouldn't have told us that.
Well, budget season coming.
We're not gonna have open here next time you ask for something else.
Oh,
You hear it?
That's okay, we'll sell one couple of Burman's fire trucks, we'll get some extra money.
Try out the new one we get, right?
Make another pickup out of the other one.
Is there any value to the ones that the compactors you're pulling out? During the
Scrap metal?
scrap.
The K-Pack is probably still, it's a decent machine, it's just structurally it's not there. If somebody thought that they could actually build it, probably the rams would be worth something.
Gotcha.
Hydraulic rams, but the rest of it's pretty antiquated.
Gotcha. Jason?
So You have the 114,500 in reserve. Is that correct? And then we approved the 30.
30,000.
So they got roughly 144, whatever.
Yes.
Okay. I was looking. So the quotes that you got back October 27th of 22 and 11/7 of 22 comes to 132.
There's a
132.
tax on there.
Yeah, he's added tax on him. That's, he didn't realize that we were.
So do we need to change our not to exceed so it at least covers this?
No,
these-
I have the correct.
She has it correct.
I took it out already.
She took the tax out of it already.
It was $6,400 tax.
Oh, because we're
Yeah,
tax
he
exempt.
added tax, not realizing that we exempt.
Right. That makes sense.
Anything else?
Okay.
All set, Jason?
Yep.
Anything else, council? Very well, since we're in the vote, all those in favor of resolution 23-33, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, resolution 23-33 passes. So, let's move on to page 4, resolution 23-34, please, Catherine.
Resolution 23-34, resolved that the town council authorize the town manager to execute modification number 1 to the airport general consultant agreement between the town of Pittsfield and Hoyle Tanner and Associates.
Look for a motion from the council, please.
Move we adopt resolution 23-34.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from audience? Very well, I'll close the public input. Council, any questions or comments on this? Very well, hearing none, and since we're at a vote, we are ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 23-34, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, resolution 23-34 passes. So let's wrap this up, please, Catherine. Resolution 23-35.
Resolution 23-35, resolved that the town council approve the issuance of a parade permit to the American Legion Post 32 for a Memorial Day parade on May 29th, 2023, and waive the permit fees.
We'll look for a motion from council, please.
Move we adopt resolution 23-35.
Second.
Moved and seconded, thank you very much. Any questions or comments from the audience? Very well, I'll close the public input. Council, questions or comments? Very well, hearing none, I sense we are ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 23-35, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, resolution 23-35 passes. So, Catherine, can we do a Reader's Digest version, please, with discussion items?
We're all set on the discussion items.
Excellent.
We have all the details.
You can't get any more Reader Digest than that.
That's right.
That's more like Crib Notes, or what's the other one? The one that came in that yellow book.
Cliff.
Cliff Notes, there you go. I never did it myself, but, I had a lot of classmates.
I never looked at those.
What are you saying, Don? All right, so let's go to reports. Anyone in the audience have anything that they wish to discuss, comment, speak on? Open forum. Very well. I shall close public input, and I shall start with the council. Heather, let's start with you, please.
I want to thank Mr. Clover for coming in and for his interest and the time put into his plans for the theater. It's much appreciated. I did have a question about the fireworks ordinance that we kind of went through back in 2021. About where that stands, and we're going to be looking at July again. And I thought we passed it, and it just needed to go to public hearing, but we were waiting for other stuff to kind of cobble together with it.
I think that's accurate.
You were interested in sending it to public hearing when other ordinance amendments came forward and nothing actually came forward.
Do we have to wait for other actual ordinance amendments, or can we do it with some of this other public hearing stuff that we're doing? Because the advertising would all be the same, right?
It would be done separate. It's a separate subject, so it would have to have a separate ad, but I don't think the ad would be very much. because
Okay.
it's a small title.
Do you know if we have anything coming out of ordinance? The ordinance committee going to meet anytime soon, or is there anything being put to that? I just know that like July is when people get upset about it, so.
So since that was done already, I mean, approved, I mean, to make it
It's just a matter of
active,
paying
bring
for
it
the ads.
forward, yeah, just paying for the ads, is that correct?
Yes, they talked about and made a motion that once all the other items came forward, this one would go forward too, to go to the council to decide what to do with it.
But the ordinance committee hasn't met in like a year and a half,
Yes.
so.
Okay. So we're waiting for input from the ordinance. committee?
No,
I don't
just that
think
they
so.
had.
That's
just-
all ready to
The
go.
idea was just that there was other items coming before the ordinance committee.
Do it
that
all in a
needed
group.
public hearings.
Related, unrelated?
They
Oh, I thought you
all
talked
together.
related to the fireworks, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. It's been a fairly low oxygen in this role, I'm not thinking very well.
I just wanted to kind of bring that up because it's coming to be the time of the year for timing to get it in place. And then I had a question about the order of resolutions, and I think we've talked about this before. I feel bad when we have department heads sitting here till the end of the evening because their items are at the end. Is there a particular order of resolutions and whatnot, Catherine, that come, are they just as they come in, you kind of stack them into the...
Well, no, actually, we will move them around. The issue that we had this time is we have two tabled ones that we would address after
Right.
the presentations. And then the ordinances have to come next under your rules.
And the resolutions.
And then the resolutions.
Okay.
So there was only one resolution ahead of the bids and contracts, and we knew Dottie would be here for the ordinance.
Okay.
And the emergency generator item should have been quick, which it was.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. That's all I have, thank you.
All right, thank you, Heather. Jason, let's go to you, please.
No comment.
All right. Mr. Jester.
No comment tonight.
Mr. Frost.
I'll leave 3 in a row, no comment.
Dog, you gonna let me down?
You want me to say something?
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm giving you the opportunity to speak. I'm not gonna slam it
I
anyway.
promise not to take my Ambien before the council meeting next time, okay?
I'm not writing that down.
Okay.
Sorry on camera.
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah, please.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'll make it quick. Catherine, years ago, we got money from the Maine PERS. And we put $1.5 million away, and of course, that was a few years ago. And I recall being on the council at that time, and we had agreed that theoretically we would borrow $1 million for 3 years in a row, and it would help to be paid for through the Maine PERS fund, which was $1.5 million, and at least it would get us through the first several years. And I think I recall the year 2026 or 2027 that it would eventually run out. Now, do we have anything left?
We do, yeah.
Okay.
The investments have gone well. There was a period when they lost money, but everything lost money.
Okay.
So they're coming back again. But as we add each of these, $1 million,
Right.
they've got to be paid for. So the money will run out. I can do a new calculation of that with the
It'd
investment.
be important to know because moving ahead with the reassessment as well
Yes,
as,
yes.
continuing to try to improve our infrastructure, we're going to be looking for money and the question is, borrowing $1 million a year eventually catches up to us and
Yes.
how are we going to pay for it, when you and I are both gone,
Exactly.
You're not going anywhere.
come on, Mike.
No, a very good question. The last time I looked at it, it was still on target, but things have changed a lot in the last 9 or 10 months.
Right. Correct. Okay, that's it.
All right, thank you, Doc.
Yeah.
I'll be very brief, very quick. Thank you, everyone shows up in the audience I've said many times, there's been 7 councils and 1, maybe sometime no people. So thank you all very much for showing up. Thank you for your presentation, sir. I appreciate your enthusiasm. I don't know where we go from here, but I appreciate you stepping forward and willing to make a difference. So the only other thing, Kevin, I mentioned to you before, I was approached by a gentleman who lives on the end of Sibley Pond Road, wanted to know if we can make that accessible for the 4-wheelers. So we're going to look into that. It'll probably be a public hearing type of thing. Has nothing to do with me because I happen to have a 4-wheeler, so don't even think that. But it would be very convenient. So that's really all I have for this evening. Please let the ladies know upstairs they're carrying all kinds of loads of responsibility work, so please let them know.
Yes, thank
They're
you.
keeping up with, with Nicole out. It's going to be exceptional.
Yes.
So,
This is going to be interesting.
and the public really doesn't care when there's work to be done. They want their stuff done now. So please let them know. They're appreciated.
Yes, thank you.
I appreciate that. So with that, that's all I have to say this evening. I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Will we adjourn?
Second. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
All right.
Thank you, buddy.
You might need a second plan because Eric's not here.
It's open.
Yeah.
My house.
Yep. She's gonna send out the word copy.
That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah.
Instead.
No, my because I thought when we had the meetings, if you got the copy, just mark it up or scan it and send it to me, whatever you want to do. So nothing came in. That's why I never went to the executive.
So it's my stupid suggestion that caused the delay.
That's not what it's like.
It said-
I never said that.